Before cancer, I thought I'm going to live forever. Nowadays, also, I behave sometimes, but I know at the back of my mind that everyone comes with a finite amount of life. We must make it worthy of something.
Hello everyone, hope you all are safe and fine. I'm Bhavya, a cadet of A-Flight NCC, NIT Trichy. Under this program of breast cancer awareness, we are here with this session. So let's start our session. Here we have Roopa Venkatesh ma'am. She's currently the Managing Director of T8 Software Services and most importantly, a survivor of breast cancer. She was detected with breast cancer in 2006. She has not only overcome the disease but also wrote a book named Cancer, a comma, but not a full stop. She has narrated her experience with this disease and how she overcame it. We extremely thank Roopa Venkatesh ma'am who accepted our invitation and has come forward to interact with us. Yes. So let's begin with the questions. Ma'am, can you tell us a little bit about your journey? Like, how were you first diagnosed with breast cancer and how did you find it out?
Okay, my journey with cancer actually is pretty old, older than my own diagnosis, because my grandmother had been diagnosed and she got it very, very early. So I used to take her to the doctors and get her treatment and all that. So I was kind of quite aware. Then my older sister got it. That by the time I was even more aware if it is possible. And then I was like, taking her for the treatments and chemo and radiation and all that. Then I thought very wrongly, I guess, that lightning won't strike in the same place twice. So I just assumed that, my grandmother had it, my sister got it, so quota is over. Unfortunately, in cancer, it doesn't work like that. I didn't think it would come to me, but it did. And I felt a lump, which actually is a little late. You should be able to catch it even before the lump forms. But anyway, I went to the doctor. He told me it is cancer because of the history and all that. He did a test. He did a mammogram and then an ultrasound and confirmed. But
Yes.
like everybody else, I just wanted to deny it. I said, no, no, I can't have cancer. It's already, done and dusted. My family's been has already taken the brunt of it. But then anyway, the reports were there, and yes, I went through denial, went through a lot of frustration, came home, and I was crying. I thought I was very brave, but then when I was crying, my son, who was 15 at that time, he told me, "Why are you crying?" So I said, "See, doctor said I've got cancer." So very sanely, he asked me, "What else did the doctor say?" So I said, though he hadn't told it, but for the child's sake, I told him, doctor said, if you take treatment, you will be okay. I said, fine, then what's your problem? Take your treatment, you will be fine. And coming from a child so young, to learn from him, I think was a big lesson for me. And from that day onwards, I think I have come to terms with it. And then I took the treatments. And now here I am to tell the story.
Yeah. Ma'am, talking about your family, like what ways they have supported you to get through this journey?
Um, Again, I guess I have to go back to my older sister. My older sister, unfortunately, didn't make the journey. She was
Yep.
diagnosed, and within 6 months to the day, she died. My parents took a royal beating. They couldn't accept the loss of that firstborn child
Yes.
in her prime of life. She was 41 when she died. She had two young children. So I think that loss was so much. I couldn't believe that any mother can cry so much, as much as my
Yes.
mother had. So I was only determined that whatever happens, I will not make my parents cry again. So I was determined to make it, so to speak. That was my biggest should I say, challenge that I had, that I will not make my parents cry anymore. So yes, they were there for me. They moved from Mysore to Bangalore to stay with me, and they looked after me throughout the process. My
Yes.
son was a big support in the sense, not the very senti kind. Oh, no, ma, don't cry. This will become. He's not that kind of. That the age is also like
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
He was just very matter of fact. He says, "What do you want now? Shall we do this? Shall we not?" He was very practical, and he kept me grounded and he didn't allow me to fall into self pity. So that's the way he supported me.
Yes.
My husband, unfortunately, was torn between two things. My mother in law, his mother, also, unfortunately, was not too well at that time. So he was trying to look after her, he was trying to look after me. Then I think somewhere along the way, he said, "Okay, fine, your parents are there to look after you." So we kind of talked about it, and he said, "I will look after my parents, and you will be looked after by your parents." So life became easier. So parents and family and friends, they will be your biggest support system. Medicine, of course, is there, but
Yes.
doctors are only at one level. But
Yeah.
the real support, the real treatment actually comes from the family and friends.
Yeah. Yes. Like as we always say that family is a big support for us. This has been proven right in your case.
Absolutely.
Yes. Ma'am, how did you try to stay positive during your journey? Or like what things did you cope up with? What are your circumstances around you? And what factors led you to be positive?
One, like I told you, I didn't want to succumb to the disease, so I decided I will take all the necessary treatments. The second thing is my friends group was pretty big, and some of them were so smart that they would set me a challenge every month, saying, "This month you must conduct Antakshari for the whole of the Rotary group." So, and you do something, you want to do it the best. Nobody should have to say, "Oh, she was ill," or all that. So, because of that basic trait and friends encouraging, every month I had something to look forward
Yes.
to. There was one friend of mine who said a very wonderful thing. He said, "You please, put it in big letters and paste it on your door in your room. Don't worry, it is temporary."
Yes.
So all the symptoms, I would crib about, "Oh God, this is not happening, that is happening." That day, immediately I read that, okay, fine, don't worry, it's temporary. Hair loss, coping with hair loss for women is very, very difficult. But even that, when you feel a little down, you read something so positive, you feel energized.
Yes.
Then there was another friend who said, "Every day you must call up somebody on your address book and talk not about your disease. Don't talk about your disease, but talk to them about anything which is of mutual interest." So
Yes.
these kind of small challenges, small work, small tasks which people used to give me made me kind of forget about the disease. Not that you can forget about it, but at least I was not focusing on that.
Yes.
I was focusing on trying to keep as much to my earlier schedule as possible.
Yes.
Okay. Walking was very difficult, but I still would go for a short walk. Earlier, I used to walk for half an hour. Now I used to walk for 5 minutes. But 5 minutes, at least I would walk. I would go to the office. I didn't do great productive work, but it's okay. I mean, I still did something. And when you're doing something, you're not thinking about the disease. So, most
Yes.
important big message there is that you should focus on trying to be as normal as possible, to not focus on the symptoms of the disease.
Yes.
These are
Exactly.
the two big messages, yes.
Yeah. Ma'am, as you have said about writing, it actually takes a lot to write a book, and it's very inspirational to write also. So, what actually motivated you to write the book?
Actually came as a surprise to me. I earlier used to but during my treatment, I used to maintain a journal. And
Oh,
I used to always write every day, today I felt bad about this, or I felt very great about this, and, some jokes which somebody shared and things like that. Then one day when we were sitting and chatting with friends, the friend said, you must write a book. You write so well.
yes,
So I said, oh, come on, it's so difficult. Write a book, publish a book, all that. Typical, you want to postpone that event as much as possible. But
yes,
my friend, incidentally, a publisher, he actually put down Sapna Book House initially. He actually put down a deadline. He said, "Rupa, you give me the book by this time, I will have it published. You don't worry about the cost. You don't worry about anything. I'll get it done." Now you're literally put into a corner, right? You can't say you
yes,
won't write because I love writing. I'd already written 5 books by then.
yes,
So I wanted to write, and here I was given a deadline, given an opportunity. So I just took it. And people won't believe me. I think I actually wrote the book in about 4 days, 5 days flat. I just poured out everything I had. It was a great catharsis. For me,
yes,
the whole thing just came out. And I felt so light after that. Of course, then there
yes,
was a lot of editing. I mean, there were so many things which had been repeated. I had to remove them. But most of the book was just a catharsis for me.
yes,
So, and then I obviously did not want to profit from my disease. So, all the charity, all the money which is collected from the book goes back to cancer charity.
yes, ma'am.
So I felt very good. I felt I'm doing something. The book did phenomenally well. There was
Yes,
excellent press coverage. Then the icing on the cake was one of the patients. They said, "Madam, I wish this were in Kannada," which is the local language here.
yes,
I said, "See, while I can speak and read and write Kannada, my Kannada is not at that level where I can actually write it in
right.
Kannada.
Yes,
There's a difference, right?"
yes,
So I just said, "I say, oh, sorry, I can't do that." He says, "Do you mind if I get it done at my cost?" Because I want this book to reach the hinterland. English, okay, is good for Bangalore, Mysore, and all that, but most of the people in the hinterland don't read English. I mean, maybe they can read English, but they don't prefer to read English. So I said, "Go ahead." So, on their own volition, they translated the book and it came out very well.
yes,
And after that, even though it's been 6 years, 7 years now, since the book was published, even in Kannada, people call me up and say, "Madam, I read your book. I was very impressed. I was laughing with, I was rolling on the floor with laughter because some of them are so humorous." And it actually happened to me. So I said, "Very good. I mean, if I have been the result of this, I feel so blessed."
yes,
So that's about the book. Yes.
yes, ma'am. Like, absolutely, we feel very relieved when we put our thoughts into words.
Yes.
So, moving on to the next question. Were there any challenges or difficulties that you faced while going through the treatment process?
Any number. One, there's this constant uncertainty whether you will make it.
Yes,
It's easy to say, no, doctors will, of course, say the right things. They will say, "No, no, don't worry, everything will become okay."
yes,
But you see patients around, you see similar, better one, but then you see that they didn't make it. You remember, see, even though in my own house I have had both the instances, my grandmother who made it, and she lived for about 17, 18 years after her diagnosis.
yes,
So she was actually she came out of it completely. And on the other hand was my sister who didn't make it even 6 months. But human nature is such that they will focus on the negative a lot. So
yes,
constantly I used to think, am I going to become like my sister? Am I also going to go away? Okay, so yes, that is one big challenge. So that's at the back of your mind. You try to push it away, you can never get away from it. So it's right there. That's one challenge. The other challenge is the treatment itself is a challenge. You lose
Yes.
hair. You lose hair is something I knew before, but when it happens, it's heart-rending. I'd
Yes.
gone even shorter than what I currently am wearing my hair. I thought that if I have very short hair, if I lose it, I won't feel too bad. Short hair loss, but it still hurt just as bad.
Yes.
Then you realize that hair is something what you think about what's on your head. But
Yes.
you don't have eyebrows, you don't have eyelashes, you have no hair at all. So when you look in the mirror, you look like a blob of flesh with two buttons for eyes. Honestly, it's not a great feeling.
Yeah.
So losing hair in spite of knowledge was still a big challenge. The
Yes.
other challenge was to feel hungry and not be able to eat because your mouth is full of ulcers. You're feeling very hungry, desperately hungry. You want to eat, but you can't put a morsel in your mouth because your mouth is burning. So, any number of days I sat in front of the plate and cried because I can't eat, even though I want to eat. That is another challenge. The other challenge is, of course, there are so many challenges. Challenges were all the other side effects. There's
Yes.
nausea, which is to be honest, doctors control it quite well with medications nowadays. But then there is neuropathy, there is pins and needles on your feet. So one step
Yes.
is agony, there is fatigue. Opening your eyes is an exercise, that kind of fatigue.
Yes.
So all these are challenges. But when you realize, when I think back about it, if you don't focus on them, they slowly go away.
Yes.
Yes, they will have to disappear. I mean, so the treatment is a challenge. The whole of the treatment is a challenge. You can't eat out. You can't go out. You are afraid. In fact, the doctor used to say, you are so susceptible to infection that if somebody sneezes in the next room, you will catch a cold. So you have to be very careful. You have guests who want to come and wish you, but you have to tell them, please don't come. It's very a little ugly to tell people, don't come
Yes.
and see me, right? So those kind of things. So there are so challenges at social levels. There are challenges in the physical level. There are challenges emotionally. Emotionally also because see you've lost hair, you feel
Yes.
less of a person, you feel less of a woman. I in my case I had breast cancer, so I feel a little less. At that time I used to feel a little less of a woman because we identify our gender with our physical anatomy. We cannot get away from it.
Yes.
So the two big things which personify women is hair and breast. So they are important. I mean, I'll never deny that. They are not
Yes.
the thing, but they are very important. And to have attack on both of that is a little too much to take. So
Yes.
those are the challenges, but they are not insurmountable. You can overcome them.
Yes.
And how did I overcome them? One, that when I started my treatment or when I even got to the end of it, there was no support group. It would have been very great if we had a group of survivors who have
Yes.
been through the treatment, who will tell you, no, no, don't worry, all this will happen. Afterwards, you will be quite okay. You need not a doctor. See, a doctor talks from a medical perspective, but a
Yes.
survivor talks from an experience perspective. And that's a difference. So I wish there was a support
Support
group.
group.
So the
Yes.
minute I recovered, we started a support group.
Yes. After starting these supportive groups, what significant changes did you find?
I found a huge amount of difference, one in myself. I was one of the big beneficiaries, I must say, because we started
Yes.
this. I got to talk to so many people. Earlier, when I used to speak about some symptom, some side effect, my doctor would look at me and say, oh, you are having that? None of my patients have that. So I would feel, oh God, I'm the only one who has this. So I was a little, scared. But afterwards, when I met all the other patients who had recovered,
Yes.
I realized everyone has been through the same thing. There's a great strength in numbers. You feel very
Yes.
happy. Everybody's been there, very good. So even if
Yes.
I'm in that boat, it's okay. So that kind of strength you get. And then when you
Yes.
start talking, everybody talks about how important the support group is. You share
Yes.
recipes, you share small tips and tricks to overcome some things. For
Yes.
example, mouth ulcers. No doctor will tell, but during chemotherapy, if you put a ice cube in your mouth, you will not have ulcers. I got this from a bulletin board in the US. Then I started sharing to everybody else who was undergoing treatment. And they said, wow, I mean, I have no ulcers in my mouth now. So,
Yes.
very good. So, you share some things. You feel really good when you have a support group because you can really let your hair down. Nobody else
Yes.
understands.
And ma'am, moving forward, the first thing about breast cancer is to make people aware of this.
Yeah.
So, what are few significant challenges that you have faced while spreading the awareness?
One challenge, I will say, is one, women refuse to accept that they are important. Women think that family comes first, everybody else comes first, and only when I cannot move anymore, I am really suffering, that's the time when I should go to the doctor. The child has a small scratch, she will run to the doctor. But she has a lump in her breast, or she's noticing some change, or she has some other physical problem, she will not go to the doctor unless it really becomes absolutely necessary.
Yes.
That is one bad thing about Indian women, more particularly. Most women are like that, self
Yes.
sacrificing. But in general, Indian women are just, they take the cake for that. So
Yes.
that is one challenge. So telling women that you are important, you should matter first. Because only if you are there, you will look after everybody else.
Yes.
So we have to bring that awareness. The second awareness is language. You will be surprised. We don't use the word breast enough. It sounds very funny. A very well educated person in Bangalore, she felt some pain and a lump in her breast. So her husband told her, why don't you go to the doctor and show? Go to our family physician. Now, incidentally, family physician was a male. So she went and said she has some pain in her chest.
Yes.
She did not use the word breast. Now, Mr. Family Physician thought that maybe she has some cardiac problems. So he sends her to Wokhart. At that time, it was Wokhart. Now it's Fortis, right? Uh,
Yes.
they did an angioplasty, angiogram, and they said, no, there's nothing particularly wrong with you. Nobody thought that she has pain in her breast. She had a
Yes.
tumor in her breast. Now, because she didn't use that word, because she's a little embarrassed to use that word.
Yes.
From stage one, when she could have got it very early, it progressed all the way to stage three. Absolutely unnecessary. She lost 9 months. Then at the end
Yes.
of that, her daughter, who was studying in 10th standard, came back from school one day and says, Amma, today they taught us about self breast examination and all that. You were talking about some pain or something. Why don't you go to a gynecologist and tell her? That's when madam went to gynecologist. Gynecologist said, oh God, this lump has become really big. And they had to do surgery. And of course, they have to do the treatment. But it was completely unnecessary to have gone and waited for 9 months, done a lot of other stuff.
Yes.
If she had used the right word, if she
Yes.
had told the doctor, I have pain in my breast, you use the word chhati, you use the word chest, and you point generally to your, general anatomy, it doesn't help. So this is one of the challenges in terms of building awareness. The second or third thing on in terms of building challenges in building awareness is women don't come out often and talk about health.
Yes.
Okay, health as in specific is one. And everybody believes cancer and bad things happen to other people. They don't happen to us. Everybody thinks like that. And while it is not completely wrong to think like that, we must be aware that this is a lifestyle disease. This is an urban disease. This is
Yes.
not so much in the villages. Breast
Yes.
cancer, for example, is very less in villages. It is an urban disease. It is a lifestyle disease. So if you are living in an urban area, be aware of it. No?
Yes.
So that is one thing. And one big lesson I learned with a slap on my face was I organized a talk about breast cancer in Infosys, and we put up these posters and all that, talking about asking all women to join. Some 200 and odd women joined.
Yes.
Only two brave men also joined. And before I could even start, they said, "Madam, we have a question." I said, "I'm taking questions at the end." He says, "No, no, madam, this is a question about your starting itself." So I said, "What is it?" He says, "Why did you invite only women? We have women in our lives. We have to care for them. We have to understand what they will go through so that we can care for them better. So, why
Yes.
did you invite only women?" I thought it was a wonderful thing to have said, because we have, I mean, every man has a mother, has a wife, has a sister, has a friend who he would like to help. But if he doesn't know what it is, then how is he going to help?
Yes.
So I think this is one more area which that's why I was very happy when you guys said that even at this young age, you and Raju Roy and everybody wants to do something like this. It shows that you people are interested in making a difference.
Yes.
So I'm that's why I agreed very readily to do this talk. Though today is Navmi and Puja Day and what have you.
Yes, ma'am. It's absolutely wonderful. As you have said, there is a myth like cancer is only affected to those who are bad or something like this. Have you heard or came across through such myths that was really surprising for you?
So many myths around cancer. I was surprised. One, even the very educated people, they say, oh, cancer happens only to people on account of hereditary causes. Hereditary causes, yes, hereditary factors affect only 10% of such cancers. What
Yes.
happens to the 90 people? So, the 90% of them are actually going to get cancer for the first time. 90%. So,
Yes.
your, it's like an ostrich burying its head in the sand. Won't help.
Yes.
So, you don't know whether you are in the 90%. You may know that
Yes.
you are not in the 10% because maybe your family, nobody has had history. Very good. That much you can establish. But you still have a 90% chance. That is one myth. The second myth is if I am exercising, if I am in good health, I will not get cancer. To a large extent, it is true, but it is not the only truth. I know there's a yoga instructor in our support group, there's an aerobics instructor in our support group. Both are perfectly fit, yet they got it. There may be multiple reasons.
Yes.
So awareness is important. If you know, then at least you're looking out for it. So
Yes.
that is one other myth. The other myth is that if you get cancer, you will die. This is like one written on the wall. Oh, Papa.
Yes.
They will say the way they talk when you talk to somebody, that person has been diagnosed with cancer. Oh, how
Cancer.
sad, no? He has very young children. That means they have written him off or her off as the minute you said cancer, that person is going to die.
Yes.
I personally believe that this is many thanks to our Bollywood. But anyway, Bollywood has had a habit of dramatizing, this disease. I mean, we
Yes.
can never forget Rajesh Khanna, right?
Yes.
Lymphosarcoma of the intestine. In Anand film, that's what he has. And okay, it's a difficult disease to get through. But the the belief is that if you have cancer, you will die. That's one more myth. Then
Yes.
there are myths that if you eat at home, if you have a reasonably good diet, you will not get cancer. I don't eat junk food. Why should I get cancer? So that won't fly. I mean, cancer doesn't listen to all this. So there are multiple factors why cancer comes, and that is why education and awareness is important. I can go on
Yes.
about the number of myths people have,
Yes.
and they will say that, my aunt had it, like, or rather, look at the myth I had. I also suffered that in each house only one bali or one sacrifice will be taken. I thought my sister had given the sacrifice, so quota is over. It doesn't work like that either.
Yes.
So you have to be careful. The other one myth, which, okay, I will grant people think that breast cancer comes only to women. Breast cancer comes also to men.
Man, yes.
Fortunately, it's a very small percentage. But the people who have had, men who have had breast cancer, they suffer doubly. See, if a woman says she has breast cancer, people will sympathize. But when
Yes.
a man says he has breast cancer, people laugh. It's a little unfair
Yes.
because we assume that a certain part of the anatomy is not related to that gender. So we are very biased in our thinking.
Yes.
Like this, there are so many myths about cancer that we need to
Yes.
break.
Yes. Ma'am, during this journey, definitely an individual will learn a lot about his life. So, what significant message you want to give us, like about your life before and after cancer?
Okay, so that's what I keep joking with my friends. Life BC, life after BC, before cancer and after cancer. So
Yes.
before cancer, I thought I'm going to live forever. Nowadays, also, I behave sometimes, but I know at the back of my mind that everyone comes with a finite amount of life. We
Yes.
must make it worthy of something. We always, when before I got cancer, I used to think, someday I will do this.
Yes.
Someday I'll write a book. Someday I'll go hiking. Someday I will go, parasailing. After my treatment, you won't believe, I have done more adventure sport than ever before because I realized life is so short.
Yes.
I've been given a second chance and I'm not going to lose it. So life is precious.
Yes.
It's not that only those people who go out and do outdoor work are living. I'm saying whatever you like to do, one day when you sit with your child or your family and laugh, I think that one day is worth it. So life
Yes.
is precious. And
Yes.
that is what I think the big lesson which cancer taught me. The
Yes.
other lesson which I learned is that we, in general, we tend to pay a lot of attention to small things. We don't focus on the big things. Small things, my friend said this, she didn't talk to me properly, she didn't do this, or he didn't say this. These are all frivolous. Learn to become a little above that. Learn to grow beyond that. You will find that life is actually so wonderful. To realize the beauty of life, you should go very close to death. Sadly,
Yes.
I don't want everybody to face it. I want everybody to understand that you can learn from my experience. My experience has been that when you're very close to death, when you're lying on the hospital bed, all the doctors surrounding you, asking what else can we give treatment, that is a terrible time to learn about life. That's
Yes.
not what it should be. Everyone should learn from somebody else's mistakes.
Yes.
So let's learn from the mistake. I wouldn't say mistake, I would say somebody else's experience. So
Yes.
everyone should learn from, for example, my experience or somebody else's experience that life is wonderful, life is precious. Do
Yes.
something.
Yes, ma'am. It's a big takeaway for us. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, what piece of advice do you wish to give for the young generations out there?
Uh, Two things. Actually, only two things. One, in cancer, every kind of cancer, early is easy. If you are likely to get cancer, and if you are in the risk group, then you have to pay a little more attention. But otherwise, also, there is a high chance that anyone in India may contact cancer because India is the cancer capital of the world. Okay. You should diagnose yourself early. That means for that you have to have awareness. It's not
Yes.
only breast cancer, any kind of cancer, any kind of disease which is chronic, which grows from within. See, what comes from outside, it's a little easier to predict, easier to protect. People say you get infection from outside, you can be
Yes.
careful. You should not eat the, junk food outside in an unhygienic place. All that you can, to a large extent, control that. How can
Yes.
you control cancer which grows from within? It is already
Yes.
inside. It's only a question of division of cells. How can you stop that? You can't. Because you
Yes.
can't stop it, you should be aware of it. Am I
Yes.
noticing any changes in my physical well being? Am
Yes.
I doing, am I feeling a lump? Am I doing what I need to do to address that issue? So, awareness about your body and your health is
Yes.
one thing young people should start looking at.
Yes.
Maintaining a healthy lifestyle, all that is very important. And that is all a one, it's actually one set. Because you are always focusing on your health, eating well, exercising well, any small change you will be able to notice. So it
Yes.
follows from each other. So you should focus on your health. Being body conscious is not a bad thing.
Yes.
Obsessing about it is, but generally you should be body conscious. That's one message for the youngsters.
Yes.
Second thing, for the youngsters, I know it sounds like I'm selling something, but I'm not selling something. Please ensure that you have insurance. Cancer is an expensive disease. It's a very expensive disease. Please make sure that you start making payments for your insurance. And when and if the time comes, you don't have to worry about that one area. Finance may be the
Yes.
last thing you need to worry about. You have so many other things to worry about, your general health, your longevity, your family, everything you have to worry. Why should you have to worry about finance also? So, when you are young, they will give you insurance at a very low cost. So, make sure all the young people understand the value of insurance. I'm a chartered accountant. I know when I say something like this, it appears that I'm selling something. I'm not selling insurance, I'm not an insurance agent. But I wish people are to understand the value of financial discipline.
Yes.
And insurance is an important part of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, yeah,
Yes.
are the two big messages for the young people. For the
Yes.
slightly older people, for those who may be in their post 35s,
Yes.
if there is family history of any kind of cancer, WHO recommends a test every year. So, for example, if there is breast cancer in your family, then every year you have to go through one mammogram and ultrasound. If there is no family history and you are above 35, or this may apply to your mother or aunt or whoever, you must ensure that
Yes.
if there is no family history, once in 2 years, you
Yes.
need to undergo mammogram and an ultrasound. That's all.
Yes.
So this is very good preventive measure.
Yes.
And don't think that every small lump, whether in the breast or anywhere else in the body, is cancer. 80% of the time, it is not. So don't think that every small lump, oh God, I've got cancer. Don't worry. They may be fibroids, they may be cysts, they may be adenomas, they could be anything.
Yes.
So you must tell your mother, your aunts, your neighbors, all all the people who may not be so clued in on this to
Yes.
educating others is also a part of our education, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, this is a very good piece of information that we are actually unaware of it, ma'am. Thank you very much. So, uh, with this, we have come to our interview session ending. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us and giving immense information about this and lightening us. So we can stop the live session
Thank you very much.
recording. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhavya.